Hello, Crossroads community. We're so glad you've joined us for another time of worship. As we join together, we're thinking about growth on the good road. And as we think of growth, we think of, this is my Father's world. Creation shows us the way to Creator. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings, and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world. I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas. His hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world. The birds the carols raise, the morning light, the lily white, declare the Maker's praise. This is my Father's world. He shines in the atmosphere, in the rustling grass I hear him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me never forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died shall be satisfied, and earth and heaven be won. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died will be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one. Earth and heaven being one. As we think about that together, we're going to turn to Mark chapter 3. And in Mark's Gospel, and we're reading from Walking the Good Road, the First Nations version. We're not doing Mark 3, I'm sorry, Mark 4, if I can be on the right week. And we're going to look at the seed planter story. This chapter in Mark, who is called War Club, tells the good story, is all about growth in the creation and how we learn from creation. I invite you to read it sometime this week. But here are the words from Mark. Creator sets free, returned to the lakeshore, and once again a very large crowd gathered around him. They pressed in so close that he got into a canoe and pushed out a little way from shore, while the people stayed at the shoreline. He then began to tell them stories to teach them about the Great Spirit's ways. Listen, he said. A seed planter went to plant some seeds, and they began to scatter them about on the ground. Some seeds fell on the village pathway, but people walked on them, and the winged ones pecked at the seeds and ate them all. Some of the seeds fell on the rocks where there was only a little dirt, and the plants sprouted out quickly, but when the sun came out, they dried up because the roots were not deep enough. Other seeds fell into the weeds and thistles and sprouted around the seeds and choked the life out of them. None of these plants grew for a harvest. But some seeds fell on good ground, grew strong, and gave a harvest of 30, 60, and even 100 times as much. Then he said, let the one who has ears hear the meaning of this story. All creation shows us the way to Creator. I invite you to take time, even in this cold, cold weekend, to recall the amazing gifts of Creator And we do it when we sing the wonderful song sung around our world in many languages. And we say, how great you are, God. When we look around our world, we see your greatness. Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, your power throughout the universe display. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in that on that cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Thank you, Jesus. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation, and and we lift up our hearts to you, and we give thanks to you for all the good things that you do and how you show us your good road. May we have ears to hear and eyes to see what you want to show us today. As we continue on in Mark 4, we have more stories about the good road, and starting at verse 26, we hear, "Here's another way to see Creator's good road. It is like a man who plants seed in the earth. Day or night, awake or sleep, the seed grows without the man knowing how or doing anything. The earth makes the seed grow without any help. First the stem, then the head, and finally the grain appears. Once it is ripe, the time has come, and right away it is harvested." "What is Creator's good road like?" he asked. "What can I compare it to? What story will help us see its meaning?" "Well, it's like a single grain of mustard seed, one of the smallest seeds. But when planted in a garden, it grows larger than all the other plants and takes over the garden. It becomes a great tree with many branches, large enough for the winged ones who soar in the sky to find lodging in its shade." So Creator sets free, taught the people with many stories like these. He would tell them as much as they were able to hear. He would only use stories to teach the crowds, but then in private, he would tell the full meaning to the ones who walked the road with him. As we walk this road with Creator Sets Free, as we journey along, I invite you to that garden, to watch what is going on, to recognize that we don't see the whole story when those seeds are planted. We want to get to the tree, but we are invited to wait in that garden, to be in that garden, and to watch Creator work. I come to the garden of love while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear the voice of love, his voice to me is calling, and he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his son, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Now it'd be really great to stay in the garden and praying along with that. But you know, those winds and the storms come and these really cold weekends come and we sort of say, what's going on? And Mark chapter 4 ends out with the story of Jesus and his message bearers, his followers, going out in a canoe after a long, busy day. And a storm was moving in and a fierce wind drove the waves into the canoe and threatened to swamp it. And they paddled harder, trying desperately to keep the canoe from sinking. But the wind and the waves were too much for them, and they were filled with fear and about to sink, and they needed help from their wisdom keeper. But Creator sets free, weary from a long, hard day, was in the back of the canoe, sleeping on a soft blanket. And they shook him awake and cried out loud, "Wisdom keeper, don't you care that we're fighting for our lives?" And he stood up and spoke sharply to the wind and said to the raging waters, "Calm down and be still." And right then, the wind died down and a great peace fell upon the surface of the water. And he turned to his followers and said to them, "Why have you given yourselves over to fear? Where is your faith?" And they all began to tremble with fear, and they shook their heads with wonder and whispered to each other, "Who is this man? Even the wind and the waves do what he says." Well, that led me to a song, you know, from the 70s. I'm one of those 70s girls. And so here you go. This song, I'm sure it comes out of this passage of scripture. Put your hand in the hand of the one who stilled the waters. Put your hand in the hand of the man who stilled the water. Put your hand in the hand of the man who calmed that sea. Take a look at yourself. You take a look at others so differently. Put your hand in the loving reality. bless you. May you know the one who stills the waters and calms the sea, and may he reach you, and may your garden grow. God bless you.